South Australia's Flinders Ranges in springtime. Mate, is there a better place to be?
I don't think so, pal. It's the time to come up here, just magic. And you can see it's all a little bit green now, just taking that edge off the place. Gum trees are blooming, just fantastic.
Yeah, they get the gum trees, the flowers, everything comes up this time of year.
Weather's good. Look at this, fantastic.
But mate, where we are here, we're right down the bottom end of the Flinders, down the southern end of the Flinders Ranges.
Yep.
Mate, you can see the ocean just there.
Yeah, well, Port Augusta, historic Port Germain, beautiful little place to start your trip up through the Flinders. We've come up through Melrose and up here to Hancock's Lookout. Got Mount Remarkable National Park right beside us, and the ranges stretching away inland, and they change dramatically as we go north.
Yeah, well, you look at it here, it's almost like the high country. It's all green and big gum trees and stuff, but Flinders, they're red and rocky. That's what I expect.
I think that's what everybody expects. But look, I've got a couple of places I want to show you just nearby. Just fantastic. Most people drive past it. Fantastic little place.
Well, mate, let's go find them.
Okay. Alligator Gorge in Mount Remarkable National Park. This impressive chasm is just a little beauty. Always has water in it, nice and cool down here. There's ferns and all different sorts of flowering plants along the valley floor. It's a very impressive place, as you can see. And we're just heading downstream to what they call the Narrows. Could be mistaken for being in Echidna Chasm in the Bungle Bungles up in the Kimberley, or Stanley Chasm in the McDonnell Ranges just out of Alice Springs. But no, here we are in the southern Flinders Ranges, Alligator Gorge, the Narrows. Very impressive place. Could you imagine the force of water that comes through here when it's really flowing? This old gum tree stood guard here for many, many years. It's a fabulous place, I love it. We tore ourselves away from this relevantly cool and verdant spot and headed east, dust trails following us towards the Pendlebury Ranges, a four-wheel drive and camping mecca in the southern Flinders Ranges. I thought, who better to speak to about what's on offer here than the owner, Charlie. So Charlie, you manage Pendlebury Ranges. Tell me, how many kilometres of track have you got out here?
Probably close to 190 now.
Okay.
There's new tracks in build as we speak.
Yep.
And some more tracks surveyed, ready to build.
Okay. So people can come out here and easily spend 5 or 6 days and not do the same track.
Depending on if you want to do all the tough tracks, like there's tracks here that are scenic and you'll get onto a really big ridge top, spectacular view without the real driving challenge.
Yep.
But then you might be in there for the technical driving.
So how many campsites do you have on the place?
Almost 50.
Wow.
And look, we tailor the campsite to suit the group size. So if you're in with 5 or 6 camper trailers, there'll be enough area that you can set up your campers. And if it's 3 or 4 guys with their utes and swags, maybe you want a bit more closer site.
So you cater for a lot of families?
A lot of families. There's a lot of family-friendly activity to do here. We're occupying 50,000 acres.
And all the tracks are in that 50,000?
That's right, yeah.
How long has Pendlebury Ranges been running for?
19 years now.
Oh, wow. Big celebration next year.
Yeah, and there'll be some more new tracks and some more interesting activities for families and children. It's all in the making.
So what track are we doing now?
The Gum Creek Drive. We consider this mediocre for challenge.
Yep.
You can do this probably with your all-wheel drive vehicle.
Yep.
Clearance is not critical.
Yep.
And we'll get onto the Sunset Ridge, and again, all-wheel drive vehicle friendly.
What a difference a day makes. We started off this morning overlooking Spencer Gulf and the sea, fantastic. I love it over there. Port Germain, historic port, fabulous. And we dropped into Alligator Gorge. You could be anywhere in one of those special places in Australia. Most people don't visit that place and I really love it. It's just one of those real gems. And now we're out on the eastern edge of the Flinders at Bendelby Ranges. Here you've got 190 kilometres of tracks, heaps of campsites, and we're up on Sunset Ridge, taking in the sunset. Fantastic.
Our timing was impeccable. We got told this morning that Charlie had just finished a new track up to the latest vantage point in the ranges, so we thought we'd give it a crack.
What a fabulous morning drive. Left the homestead, came out across here, up into the Hungry Ranges they call it, up onto this high peak. The track has just been put through. It only got put through yesterday. And so we're the first to get up here. Fantastic view, fantastic drive. Not the toughest drive on the property, but just one of many that you can enjoy when you come here. One of the most historic towns in the Flinders Ranges, home of the Pitchy Ritchie Railway. If you've got kids or you're a steam buff, you've got to do that railway trip. It's fantastic. Great little place. One time had 5 pubs, and I grew up here, went to the school. St. Joseph's of the Bleeding Heart. They wielded a strap with mean efficiency. Anyway, great stepping off point for some of the wonders of the Flinders Ranges, just out of town. Let's go and do it. Start of the Arden Hills track, another 4-wheel drive property that's open to the public. We're just north of Quorn, near Wynyard Gorge, beautiful, beautiful mountains, and we're just starting this track. Climbs really steeply up to the top of the range. Fantastic views. Let's go and do it.
You'll notice a very distinct change in the vegetation as you drive through here. The lower hills are dotted with native pine, while along the creeks, old red gums line the rocky beds. While as you get higher, you get into barer country with the occasional stand of native grass trees and a smattering of spinifex.
Hills 4-wheel drive track. There are some classic views, some challenging tracks as well, but I just love this view. You're looking down towards Spencer's Gulf, Port Augusta, Adelaide, Mount Remarkable National Park where we were a couple of days ago. Bit hazy today, and then out across the Maruka Towers and way up towards Wilpena, and behind us is Mount Arden with the towers on top of the hill. You get views like this all the time on this track and it is just fantastic. I really enjoy it. Been here a couple of times, it's fabulous. We've had a big day today. We started over in the Bendible Ranges, went into the Hungry Ranges in fact, and tried some new tracks that they've just put in. Been a fabulous, fabulous track, some really hard stuff over there. And then most people would be quite happy with that, but no, we set off, went through Corn, came up into the Arden Hills. Some fabulous driving here, across the ridges, great lookouts, great views, some challenging tracks as well. And now we're camped just at the base of the Arden Hills. Beautiful spot in the valley. Great way to finish a day.
We headed out through the ranges and onto the wide, flat expanse of the Wynyard Plains.
You'd have to be really unlucky to drown in Wynyard Creek, I've got to tell you. I've crossed it quite a few times, and the most water I've ever seen in it is a couple of inches deep. But anyway, old Hugh Proby, who set up Kenyaka Run, just over the hills over here, drowned in it, would you believe? Got washed off his horse, so you could imagine how deep it was. But it's hard to believe when you look out across this country and how dry it is and how shallow the creeks are. Unbelievable story. Kenyaka Homestead. It may have been set up by Hugh Proby, but he never saw it grow into this great station. 110,000 hectares, 70 families working here, shearing 40,000 sheep. It was a huge property, hugely successful for a short number of years. By the 1880s, drought had set in and the station was abandoned, would you believe? And then the government bought it back and cut it up into small little properties which became supposedly sheep farms or wheat farms. It never worked.
From Kenyaka, we headed north on the Blacktop, through Hawker to the small township of Blindman and the impressive Blindman mine, just a couple of minutes drive from the pub in the heart of town.
Well, Susan, we're underground here at the Blindman mine, and you're the chief guide for the place. So tell us a little bit about the history of this place.
Okay, so 1859 is when the outcrop of copper was found by Pegleg Blindman.
Okay.
Robert Blindman. He was a one-legged shepherd sitting on top of the hill.
Yep.
Supposedly looking after sheep, but some people say he was tapping his wooden leg on a rock and he noticed something sounded different. I don't know if that's true, but he definitely discovered something. So he decided to take out the mining rights.
Yep.
He couldn't afford it. It was going to cost £10, $20 today. That was a year's salary for a shepherd. So he got three friends, they got the money together, they did take out the mining rights, and they actually made a fortune for doing nothing. They didn't even dig a hole. But
wow.
They
sold it to other mining interests?
Yeah, to a mining company, the Yuntamatna Mining Company.
Okay.
3 years later, so 1862, the mine started.
Okay. And when did it work to?
1907.
Okay. And how much ore was produced here?
So they took out about 10,000 tonne of copper.
Yep. Wow.
So about 5% yield, which is pretty good.
Yeah. So that would make it one of the biggest in the Flinders, wouldn't it?
It was the biggest mine in the Flinders.
Okay.
Yeah. We did also smelt for other mines here, so other copper mines bought their copper here, and we smelted it on site.
So how far underground are we now?
Probably about 30 metres here.
Okay, and how deep does the mine go?
165.
Oh, I'm glad we're just here. That's all right.
Yeah, well, because that's a 54-storey building and you'd have to be climbing ropes and ladders.
It was a hell of a time, especially in those early days. But they worked as family groups, you were saying.
Yeah, so that was the traditional way the Cornish worked, in a group of about 10 men and boys, called a pair, spelt P-A-R-E. They didn't have unions in those days, but they had a family group and they looked out for each other.
Okay. So how many people killed in this place or not?
Yeah, the records show that there were 12 mining deaths. That was people falling into shafts, hitting the bottom, falling into water and drowning, and gunpowder explosions as well.
So early on, they would have only worked under here with candlelight and things like that.
Yeah, and down later, you can see how much light that would have generated. Not much at all. No.
It's phenomenal.
It was a tough gig working underground back in the good old days, and it was a pleasure meeting Susan and learning all about the mighty Blinman mine and how it's now saving the town once again. Now we have to hit the track towards Willow Springs, one of the best known four-wheel drive and camping properties in the region. The Skytrack track, situated on Willow Springs Station, will generally take you 6 to 8 hours to complete as it winds over the hills, through rocky gullies and up onto the highest ridges of the range that give impressive views of the walls of Wilpena to the west and rolling ridgelines to the north and south.
Ronnie, the top of Skytrack, end of the day, sunset, is there a better place in the Flinders?
Mate, most famous track in the Flinders. Great scenery, spectacular track, beautiful, beautiful country. In a word, no.
Mate, we've had a gay old time driving around the tracks here today. It's a fantastic property. It's been a great few days driving around.
Yep.
Mate, I think the only thing we're missing here right now is a sunset beer.
That's it. Let's go and get one right now.
Go and get one and then we'll get into part 2 another time.